When I first came to Canada, I thought I understood how the workplace worked. I had already worked in different countries, so I assumed Canada would be similar, maybe even easier. But I was wrong. Some of the biggest truths I believed turned out to be myths. Hi everyone, my name is Aube. I'm originally from China, and I've been living in Canada for over 10 years. Today, I just want to share a few of those myths I personally believed. Hard work and performance speak for themselves. This was probably the biggest one for me. I truly believed that if I just worked hard, delivered great results, and stayed professional, that would be enough. And in reality, it wasn't. There were times, especially in the beginning, when I worked really hard and produced strong results, yet it felt like nobody noticed. Sometimes, my performance even seemed to make certain people uncomfortable. I still remember one project where I put in a lot of effort, and the outcome was generally good. I expected people to be happy, or at least appreciating. Instead, the reaction was distant, almost cold. Not everyone reacted that way. It didn't happen all the time, but it was enough to make me pause and think. Maybe it's not just about how well you work. And that wasn't the only surprise, because even when companies talk about their values, you know how every company promotes respect, teamwork, integrity. On paper, it all sounds perfect, but in real life, it doesn't always match what you experience every day. The gap between the nice words on the wall and the actual workplace culture can be surprisingly wide. That disconnect hit me harder than I expected. Salary is confidential. I used to think salary was a private matter. Everyone negotiates their own deal, and people simply don't talk about it. But in Canada, I quickly learned that people do compare salaries, sometimes quietly, sometimes more openly than I imagined. You can actually feel the tension in the air, even when no one says anything directly. That unspoken comparison changed the atmosphere more than I thought it would be. Another thing that really surprised me was my assumption about leadership. Before coming to Canada, I assumed that if someone is promoted to manager, they must have the right skills, experience, and leadership abilities. But that hasn't always been the case in my experience. When a manager lacks the necessary skills or people management abilities, it doesn't just affect one person, it impacts the entire team, especially when you're looking to them for guidance and support. And then there were some smaller culture surprises that still catch me off guard even after 10 years. People don't ask about age. I really believe this was a big taboo in Canadian workplaces. I thought people simply didn't ask about age. But in almost every workplace I've been in, the question still comes up. Sometimes directly, but more often in a very casual, roundabout ways. It surprised me at first, because I had heard so many times that age is off limits here. I'm still trying to make sense of all these differences. This is just my personal experience after working in Canada for over 10 years. I'm sure many of you have had completely different experiences, and that's okay. If you ever felt something similar, or if your story is totally different, I'd really love to hear it in the comments. Maybe by sharing our stories, we can understand this workplace culture a little bit better together. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.